Hello, good afternoon, Ketki. Welcome to Designers Unleashed. So, I'll give you a brief introduction about Designers Unleashed first. Designers Unleashed is a series of talk shows aimed at helping to break down various myths and misconceptions about design world. Through a series of talk shows, what we do is we invite industry professionals, design faculties, and alumni of top design colleges to talk in the talk show and unleash some mysteries about design education or industry and share their experiences. So, I'll just give a short introduction about Ketki. She was my student and now she's a professional designer. Ketki is an applied art graduate from Rachna Sansad, who has gone on to become a highly skilled illustrator, freelancer, and illustrator trainer as well. And she's also an Instagram influencer. So her eye-catching artworks has earned her recognition of art enthusiasts around the world, while her extensive portfolio of works reflects her ever-growing skills and talents. So everyone will just put a link of her account, Instagram account, and you can definitely check out her works. So Ketki has been successful in creating a strong network of followers on Instagram, where she has been sharing her journey and experiences as an artist and designer.
Hello.
Yeah. So, Ketki, tell us something about your journey as a designer.
All I knew I wanted to do something in art. So initially I started with where I met you as my teacher, and that's where I explored most of my, I need, I found out that these fields exist. So
Right.
graphic designing, product designing, and illustrations. And so I was very confused in the beginning, ended up applying for everything. But the two places that caught my attention the most was MIT Pune and Rachna Sansad. So these two places is where I applied for. And for one was for graphic designing and both mostly for designing. But then I ended up going to Rachna Sansad because still I stay in Mumbai and Mumbai was closer than Pune. That was the only intention because I was 16 at the time.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I like realized that designing is way more than just graphic designing. You can have illustrative designing as well, and that's when I started exploring illustration. And in my third year I had my elective as illustration, where I explored how big illustration can be, because I had a very great faculty who guided me through that and who helped me become an illustrator later on. So that's how it started.
Okay. So generally, students opt for NID and IITs, and you were more interested into MIT. Why so? MIT and Rachna Sansad.
Yeah, so I don't know, I just looked for the, something initially I didn't want to go very far away from my, that was my first thought. But then later on, as I started exploring more, I had a senior who was in MIT who had a great portfolio himself, and I thought I could go into this similar direction. I was initially interested in product designing as well, but which later on shifted to graphic designing. But yeah, that's how I had a senior who guided me to go to MIT.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So Ketki, how did you get into applied art? Like, you had gone through a process of design entrance exam, and how different was it from MIT entrance exam?
Yeah, so these two exams were completely different. MIT focused a lot on, the graphic parts of the things, like, computer graphics and everything else. The exams, I remember I had exams where we have to design products, which could be functional, and also packaging designs and posters. While for CET, for applied arts, we had more on the fine art side of things, where you need to know how to draw really good. We had memory drawing, we had still life for the exams, But these two exams were completely different from each other. It's when I like, so if you want to go for graphic designing, this like would be completely different than what illustration is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, because these two entrance exams are very different, what was that attracted? Like, what was the thing that attracted you towards applied art?
Yeah, so I think I'm more of an illustration person, although I like graphic designing.
Mm-hmm.
During my third year, I had a faculty who encouraged me to buy iPad and like my first device, which I used.
No, no, no. My question was something else. I think you missed it.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, entrance exam, in the entrance exam,
Yeah.
MIT entrance exam was different from Rachna's answer, right?
Right.
And you've applied for both the exams, and
Yeah.
then you selected Rachna over it. So only because of the, location part, or was there any other reason?
No, I think it was mostly because of the location part only.
Okay, then let's
Uh,
skip this question.
yeah.
So, what was your inspiration for choosing illustration as a specialization? Did you check out works of illustrators earlier, or refer to any books or websites?
Yeah, I did. I was a very big fan of Ghibli movies where there are a lot of illustrative works, and Hayao Miyazaki was someone I really used to look up to, and Piccolo, and these are some of the artists who work for DC Comics, and so I was very inspired by those artists. Jacqueline Delano becoming one of the artists, Lavanya Naidu, Abhishek Singh. These are the people I used to look up to, and I wanted to do something very similar. As soon as I found my ground, this I was eventually attracted to illustration more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, tell us something about your sketching mantra. Like, how do you practice? And since you've passed 10th, I just remember your works. Your figure drawings were very sharp and very good. So, how do you practice, or how did you develop it over the time?
I use a lot of references, like a lot. I have a books. I have a lot of books which we can study anatomy from and everything. Lots of references which are downloaded digitally. I think biggest place where I find my inspiration from is ArtStation. It is it is a website where like most digital 3D artists, VFX artists showcase their portfolio on a very large scale,
Oh,
and that was the place where I was getting most of my inspiration from. I was trying to. I started by copy drawing most things, then eventually eventually shifted it to like drawing on my own, then composition, and then slowly that's how I started
yeah,
sketching out things.
that's a gradual process.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you regret not going to a design college any point of time?
No, I think I was very sure about what I wanted. Uh,
Okay.
so that's why I wasn't, dicey about things later on. Later on, though, after I was a bit dicey, but once I finished my college,
Mhm.
but I don't think I'm in that place anymore. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, what are the skills that you learned in college?
Yeah, so the college really makes you aware about the things that you don't really know. So I think most important is software. I learned all of the software right in my college. They didn't teach us the software exactly, but they let you know that these are the things you need to learn to
Mm-hmm.
get ahead. So my all the softwares I know right now is I learned during my second and third year of college.
Mm-hmm.
So of course the designing, how to lay out, typography and everything, every aspect of design was taught in my college. Until I chose my elective for in my third year, uh, that's when we was simultaneously learning about design and advertisement as well. We learned about marketing also. We had written exams over marketing, and then later on we shifted to like we had for our elective, which was like just a subject, and then you can develop your skills upon it. So illustration being my elective, I worked upon that also. So the softwares required for illustrations were very different from what we require for designing. So these two different set of softwares is what I learned. And
So what were the softwares that you learned?
so illustration, we had Procreate,
Mhm.
Affinity, and another for graphic designing, we learned Photoshop, Illustrator, Clip Studios. Clip Studios was for both, so you can use it for illustration also. It is vector based and normal also. So these were all the softwares I learned.
Okay, okay. You didn't try hands-on Adobe Illustrator?
Yeah, no, Adobe AI, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and also After Effects. Yeah,
Okay. And amongst all these, which one is your favorite software?
Procreate.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, at any point of time in your college, did you feel that, you are a bit underprepared, or if you would have learned some certain skills earlier, it would have been better for you?
Yes, I do feel that if I would have learned this software a bit earlier, it would have been easier for the process later on. It's just I got some time during COVID is why I was able to catch up. But I feel like if I didn't have that time, I would have lacked a lot. But I feel these softwares are very important. If you can learn it online, now it's way better. It would be easier for the later journey. If no, but yeah, these softwares are very important. I feel like you should be learning them prior, at least when you start your college in your first years and everything.
Okay. Okay, so ideally you recommend that students should learn it either in the
Yeah.
first year or before that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, before joining the college. Right. So, there are any placements in your college?
Yes, there are. We had Tata, many studios as well. The biggest studios right now in Mumbai, Paperboard Studios, Xorus, and these were also in our placement. And yeah, we had some companies, graphic design companies, who were looking for graphic designer. So
Mhm.
4 a.m. was one of the companies. So that's how I landed my first job as well from our college placements.
Okay. I forgot to ask one question. So what are the electives that are there in your college?
We have 5 electives. One is photography, display, illustration, uh, graphic designing, and typography.
So
Graphic
what's
designing is computer graphics, I mean.
okay? And as you mentioned, the college just introduced you to the softwares, and it was not being taught in the college, right?
Yeah.
So apart from computer softwares or iPad softwares, what were the other things you had to learn from outside? It was
Uh,
outside the college curriculum, basically.
no, I think everything else was taught, especially in our third year and fourth year, which were one of the most productive years of our whole college. So they taught most of the things and they prepared us for what was coming ahead. uh, and also for the software things is we have to take extra classes which were to be paid for, and you can just learn it. The faculty only taught us the extra software. It's just have to like go for the extra class. It wasn't a part of the curriculum.
Okay, so it was in the college campus itself.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, fine. So, like you told, third and fourth year was more productive and was more focused towards preparing you for the industry.
Mhm.
And first and second year was for what?
I think they developed our skills as an artist. This
Okay.
was the third and fourth year was more focused on what we are going to do outside once we go outside
The
the.
industry, right?
Yeah, and but the first 2 years were focused on developing us as an artist, our vision as an artist. They make is to make us draw by hands and everything, so that we were so prepared that that our skills would have improved as an artist. So third year wouldn't be a big deal in terms of anatomy and everything else. Who were taking illustrations and everything.
Okay. And what are the books that you refer to generally?
I think there is one more. I refer to like a booklet of this, a combination of many books. I would say
Okay.
there are. I keep on printing stuff from online. Like you can find those. Derek Dominic D'Souza is one of the artists who has his online works, and you can just print it out and you can learn from him. There are similar artists that I found online on Domestika. courses like Domestica and other art station where they sell their courses for few dollars and $4 or $5, which is like so you can get those courses. I used to print those out and I used to try to draw them. So
Oh,
that's how I created my own stuff for to
okay.
refer to. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Acha, so how was your experience working at several places? So where have you worked basically?
Yeah, so my first job being I was a junior graphic designer when I started working. So the company usually tackled with real estate advertisement, and I was there for a month. Although because I realized that I was more into the illustrative sides of things, so that's where the
Your
realization.
interests were not aligned.
Yeah. So, but the job was pretty good, I think, and everything. I learned a lot there, especially regarding. That's when I learned InDesign as well during the job. So,
Okay.
yeah. Then, yeah. So later on, I started doing freelancing, and
Mhm.
I was head designer in Sperix. That was my another company. But that was a combination of graphic designing and illustration. So the
Okay.
company used to take other, advertisement from other company, and then we used to work on them. They also used to create their own NFTs and to sell
Okay.
them. So I worked around that. And I've shifted to many jobs, like three by now. So the one I was working recently with, and the most was Burning Light Studio. That was my first job as an illustrator and not a not a graphic designer.
Mhm.
So I've worked there the longest, and it was based in Bangalore, and we used to work remote. So yeah,
Okay. So it was work from home.
yeah, it was work from home.
And what were the projects that you worked on with them?
One of the biggest projects we had was from Indian Army, which we had to create an animation
Mhm.
for that uh, the whole thing. So the anniversary, it was their 225th anniversary,
Mhm.
and this was the biggest project I did for them. So we had to just create. We had just 3 days to make a whole animation regarding what happened, and that's yeah. And there were many other projects regarding NFTs also,
Okay.
and animations and which used to be also simple animations like you have to keep your phone silent during the movies, the starting things. Yeah, so smaller and bigger, both kind of animations were mostly as an animator. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So a lot of inquiries that I get from students and parents, especially from certain sector, is we are looking out for a future in work from home things. Like a lot of parents are not very still open for girls to go out and work in future.
Mhm.
Especially mothers think, once my daughter gets married and then it might not be allowed and all those things. So because you worked remotely, how was your experience working from home?
I think it was great. You
Okay.
save yourself a lot of time traveling and everything. I
Mm-hmm.
was working for like a long time for remotely since my I graduated during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and my first job was obviously remote because the lockdown wasn't open yet. So I was forced to work remote. But eventually I started liking it, and I think it's the best decision because you save a lot of time. If you have something of your own to work on, you still get a lot of time. And remote is way, I think the functionality of the whole thing is the same. It doesn't really make any difference. That's what I feel.
But
Uh,
still, do you think there are opportunities for work from home
yes,
post COVID also?
yes, I do feel that. But you have to reach out for the opportunities because when you're out, it's easier for you to make contacts, talk to people, and then share your work. But in these cases, like remote, you have to go out and like you have to see people to get your attention. And so let's say we are in a work situation, the only time you're going to talk with them is during meetings and everything. So
Right.
later on, yeah, but you have to go to them, share your work, tell them that you're looking for another opportunities as well.
So
That's
it
how
was
you
like a freelancing project that you got, or it was a proper job?
the Burning Light Studio. No,
Right.
it was starting in the beginning. I started as a freelancer for them, and later on it turned into a job. So
Okay.
they hired me later on. Yeah.
Okay. And then because it's a remote thing, how is the workflow? Like every day you get a particular work or a task to be completed, or is it project based, or you have deadlines to complete the project? How is it?
Yeah, there are usually I used to start at 11 and my work used to end at 7. So I was lucky enough to have like jobs who used to follow these timelines. So
Okay.
they were very strict with the timelines. Just start at 11, whatever the task was assigned for the day
Mm.
by your head. And they used to just tell me, "Ki, this is what we want by the end of the day." And yeah, I used to just finish it up. And the workflow was, I feel like it was pretty nice. Just whenever we had doubts, we were very good at communicating with any devices and everything. So just sharing them on WhatsApp and everything, just to take updates on the designs we made, was pretty easy. And everyone used to be available at the same time. So uh, the
Okay.
communication was very fast. Yeah.
Okay. So daily you used to get a design brief and you have to complete
Yeah.
and shoot to
Yeah.
them on a daily basis. Okay. So, what is the experience of work from home? Is it there with your friends also, or you're the only person in your group who's working from home?
No, I have few friends who are working from home. I also have few friends who work hybrid. So,
Okay.
so one of my friend right now is working hybrid, and I see that the traveling part is what gets you the most. Because
Right.
one thing about design industry is the timings are very, they keep extending the timings and everything. But I
Okay.
think if you keep there are new industries that are happening who respect these boundaries about time and everything. So yeah,
Okay.
I think I personally prefer remote, but I have friends who prefer to go out and work rather than working remotely. So yeah.
Right. And the ones who are working remotely, are they happy with the workflow working remotely?
Yeah, they are. I must say, like they are happy. Just sometimes you need to go to the office also. It's not like you can always work from home. There are some meetings that you actually have to be present. So yeah, they're happy with the remote work. I would.
Okay, but overall, like 80 to 90% of the time you work from home, and then there are 10-20.
Yeah, 10% that you have to go to the office.
Yeah, but that's completely fine.
Yeah, that's completely fine.
Yeah. So, how did your, freelancing journey started? Like, how did you start getting orders and commission works or
Uh,
collaborating with brands?
Yeah. So I think the first when I was in my fourth year, that's when I had my first company approach me through my Instagram. So my Instagram wasn't big as much, but I still had my online portfolio going there.
Mhm.
And the Pina podcast was the first company. It was based in UK, and
Okay.
that's how I found my first freelance job. And it was a very systematic brief, and everything was very clear. Although it was my first experience as as a freelancer, the way the brief was set, it was so perfect that there won't be any doubts for you to later. So that's how I know that I can work as a freelancer. And although it was not as like stagnant, like the ups and downs, but you have to just work through with it. And so I decided to go work more as a freelancer. I started approaching companies who
Mhm.
might hire me as a freelancer.
So, how did you approach via some
Mm.
portal?
Yeah. LinkedIn was the place I used to go on. You can just type for like, people,
Mhm.
recruiters who are looking for freelance illustrators. And that's how I used to apply for the job. And I used to get one of those gigs once in a while.
Oh,
And yeah, so once my Instagram blew up, then I didn't have to go on approaching people. So they used to come on to hire me. And that's how things
okay.
were done.
Okay, so now the frequency of you connecting with people has become reverse. Like now people are connecting with you rather than
Yeah.
you to them. Okay, that's good. So, what is your experience? Is there any difference in college education versus an industry work?
Yeah, there is a bit of difference. Although they prepare you for what's there outside, the amount of, they don't prepare you for the amount of time you have to work, because we used to do whole campaigns for 6 months. And then when you come to industry, you realize that you have to do it in 1 or 2 days. Like you crack the whole campaign and finish it up within a week. So something that you're used to doing for 6 months, and you get your faculty's guidance throughout. This is something you have to do it by yourself within a week or something. So that was something new for me, that, oh, the time is so short to work on these things, because the deadlines are so short. You have to be very quick, but eventually you get used to it.
Hmm.
And yeah, so the industry is overall very different from what college is. But as soon as you start working on it, you will realize that, yeah, you can manage.
So tell us about your journey on Instagram. How did you start from 0 followers to like how many followers do you have right now?
19K.
19,000 followers. So how this journey kick started?
I think so. I started it during COVID period, so I had a lot of time on my hands. I didn't know what to do with that. So I started drawing, eventually building up my portfolio. But what I thought is I could share it online. Maybe I could have find people who can hire me, or make connections which might be useful later on. Is why I started posting it online.
Mm-hmm.
So, but eventually, I was very consistent with it. So as to post every week, as to create every like new artworks every week, like 2 or 3, as to post, keep on posting it. And eventually it just happened to blow up. One of my artworks just happened to blow up. And yeah, so that's what it just, I was consistently posting it to make a portfolio online. That was my initial goal. But then later on it blew up. So I started looking at in more of a career perspective, that you can work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting work from Instagram as well, and some client I found some clients as well from there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's how I and now I'm turning it into a merchandising thing, where I can sell my products, prints, and everything. They are going to be starting soon.
Oh,
So that's my
that's
end
good.
goal towards these things. Yeah.
So, merchandising is something that you are planning to do on your own or collaborating with some brand?
No, I'm just doing it on my own. I was already the coffee store. There was this brand which I collaborated with regarding merchandise. So that was one thing. But I'm going to do this on my own, so that I was trying to generate more revenue from that. That's okay.
Okay, so obviously, like when you're working for someone and you're working on a job, the
Mhm.
pay scale that you get is fixed, and then you are satisfied with that particular pay scale.
Right.
But initially, obviously, it's slow, and then gradually it keeps growing. But
Yeah.
when you're working as a freelancer, it's a very uncertain thing, right?
Right.
So how did you overcome, or it's a bit of tough decision to take? At times
Mm-hmm.
it happens 90% of them end up having a job, and there are hardly 10-20% of people who opt for freelancing. So how did
Right.
you landed up for this freelancing thing over a job?
Although we like job gives you that stability, but freelancer is lot more money compared to a job. So that was my whole thing, that I could work here. Although it is, there are, the lows are very lows and the highs are very highs.
Mm.
That's one thing. But you have to be like, you have to like, you have to just believe that there is going to, I need to keep looking out for recruiters. So you can't just sit still and wait for another job to pop up on its own. It's not going to happen. You have to go around, look for a job, keep on trying. Like you are going to find, like, oversaturate your opportunities. That's what I can do, and that's what I kept doing. I kept on looking on for a job, and eventually I find one that could go on for months or two. So
Oh,
that's how I was working for so long. And once you are looking, I think most people think is being freelancer is a bit risky, and if you could risk your job, but you can always go back to doing a job. That's what the
right,
thing is. If you feel that it's not at all working for you, and
right.
this is not your place to be, you can always go back to working on job. That's one security that you can get. So you can have your thing also. And I've seen friends who do both. So they have their job and they simultaneously have do freelancing as well. So if you're not very sure that freelancing is working for you, can have a job on the side and do something like that, like
But
part-time.
this is my personal opinion that if you're doing both the things, you cannot focus on your freelancing part or building your
Yeah,
presence online that much.
yeah, I
You have
agree.
to
I also
choose one if
choose
you want
one.
to
I
grow
agree.
fast. Because people who are doing both the things together, after a particular time, they end up their freelancing part and then they have to work on
Hmm.
their job because they
Right.
start progressing in the job, and along with the progress and hike in the pay scale, your workload also keeps increasing, and then you have to
Yes,
get
I
time
agree.
for that. So, what do you think? What is the general pay scale that students of your age group are getting, or
Uh,
your peers and
so
everything?
the job starts from 25K. That's the
Mhm.
average, and it can increase up to 70, 1 lakh. And if you go in freelancing direction, it can increase a lot. There is no end to that. So
Right.
I think when you start, it's usually from 25K, and
Okay.
it keeps on slowly improving,
Okay.
and like by year and year. So but if you're into UI UX or you go in Tata, so their starting is 45K. So it
Okay.
differs from company to company, but
Right.
usually the standard company in Mumbai, they'll give you 25 when you're starting.
Okay. And also varies from the college also, because a lot of
Yeah,
colleges do offer first pay scale to be 50,000
right.
on average.
Yeah.
So also varies from the expertise. What is the
Mm-hmm.
average that your college is?
Yeah, like my college was giving, yes.
Okay, okay. Uh, that's good. So, how do you stay motivated? Because, like you told, there are lows also extremely low. So, how do you keep yourself motivated?
I think I look at people who are doing similar work as I am. That's how I feel motivated, and I take a lot of rest. I don't know. I feel like if you work hard, you need to rest hard as well, because eventually you're going to feel like the burnout thing is going to hit you after some time,
Mhm.
and that's when you start feeling demotivated. Actually, when you are tired most of the times. So
Right.
I feel like I look at people who are doing the same thing as me, and I see how they are going through it.
Mhm.
And that's how I feel motivated about my work and everything. There are many seniors that I look up to,
Mhm.
and I think they are doing a good job as freelancers and have done a great job in developing their art style and everything. So that's what I look up to, and then I feel like this is something I should apply in my life as well. So I do.
That's good. Okay, can you share your screen and show your works? You mentioned that there was a particular work after that your Instagram handle boomed. So,
Yeah.
what was that work? Can you share it right now?
I'm actually on my laptop, so my Instagram is not up here. But it was a reel which had a combination of all my artworks. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. No problem. You can share it on WhatsApp. I'll
yeah,
just
yeah. Yeah, you can
connect
clip
that,
it. Yeah.
clip it to this thing. Okay. So, one last question. What is your dream in future? What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself after 10 years?
I hope I have my own studio someday,
Okay.
like
Okay.
illustrative design studio, maybe.
Okay.
And I also trying to work on children's book illustration. So if it's
Uh-huh.
something in that area, I would be very happy. So I see myself as an children's book illustrator and
Okay.
also work on studio work as well.
Okay. That's great. I think I missed the point that you are also teaching illustrations, right?
Yeah. So
So,
yeah.
yeah, what kind of illustrations do you teach? Do you teach softwares completely, or do you just teach illustrations?
So I started it at 19 when so initially I was teaching elementary and intermediate students, but
Mm-hmm.
as the class happened to grow a lot, so I
Mm-hmm.
shifted it to complete digital artworks.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach iPad and specifically Procreate and
Okay.
Photoshop on iPad. So my students happen to have they bring their own iPad and I teach them upon that. Yeah.
Okay. And is it online, offline? How is it?
It's offline. You have to come to my class and they have to do
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay. That's great. We had a very good time with you, Ketki. We wish you all the very best for your future, and we hope that your dream comes true very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.